My name is Charles. This is 10 Minutes with TSA. It's a show where we're going to discuss Taiwan's news and current events and such. This is supposed to be live on Zoom. It was actually recorded with Vivian, Weilu, Brian, Michael, and Anna. But don't worry, they're still going to join us later. I'm just re-recording this first intro and news presentation part because I just didn't like how I did it live. It was long and it was messy. So yeah, I'm gonna try to get through the news part, the boring Zoom lecture ass part, as fast as possible, and then we'll get into the discussion later. So now to start, let's talk about the one thing you can't go a day without hearing about: coronavirus. Taiwan's doing pretty well, actually. Last Tuesday, they reported 0 new cases, and again on Friday. And if you look at the graph here, Taiwan's actually had a pretty good lockdown on coronavirus ever since the beginning. Very few cases, less than 10, all the way up until mid-March, when citizens abroad in countries that had really bad outbreaks like Italy, Iran, and then the United States came home, and the number of cases spiked. So a lot of these cases didn't even originate in Taiwan. They weren't contracted in Taiwan. And you can see that when we talk about flattening the curve, this is Taiwan's curve. It's already over its peak and it's already coming down. And if you look at these y-axis numbers, which is the number of people actively infected, they're pretty low. The percentage of people compared to its population is really negligible. And if you compare this with the graph of the United States, you can see we're really far behind. We're not even at the peak yet, and these numbers are a little scary. They're almost twice 1,000 times worse than they are in Taiwan. So how is Taiwan so good at keeping coronavirus on lock? It all started on December 31st when China sent a notice of 7 weird cases of pneumonia to the World Health Organization. I think Taiwan was a little scarred from the SARS outbreak that happened years ago, and they took this very seriously, and they sent a team of fact-finding missions to China and to get as much information as possible about the outbreak and bring it back to Taiwan hospitals to learn about how it infects people and such. And they immediately banned travel from Wuhan. And by the time they had their first case on January 21st, the Taiwan CDC was ready to dish out a bunch of 124 exactly actions to take in response to the outbreak. And then after the first case, it was all about controlling the number of cases at the root. So 5 days later, travel bans from China were implemented, and then temperature monitors and QR code scans were set up at the airport to alert the government and CDC about passengers coming in with fever symptoms, possibly corona cases, and the like. Passengers from badly affected countries, such as the US, kept in quarantine for 14 days, and they were actually tracked for the entire of the 14 days, and there were very heavy fine punishments for those who didn't follow it. So our cabinet member Brian Xiao was actually one of the people that got quarantined for 14 days. So I'm gonna cut to where we were talking about that.
Yeah, it was kind of special because, I mean, I'm used to staying indoors a lot because, like, we gotta study a lot in school, but I actually didn't go home. So the place that I'm in right now, and still am, even though my quarantine's over, it's like a little, I guess you would call it like a storage unit. It's in an apartment though. So it's just one room. There's a bathroom outside. I'm on the roof. And I would basically just live here, like, for 14 days, and every day I called. I mean, I still am. I'm calling like Uber Eats and Food Panda and stuff like that. Which got a lot more popular. But yeah, basically, all
They
this
pay for the housing?
What?
Do they pay for the
No,
housing?
they don't pay for housing. You don't have to go to a specific place to stay during quarantine. You can just be anywhere you want. But they do track you, yeah. Like they track your SIM card. So if I like left, I don't know, a couple meters from my house, then they would detect it and they would find me.
So like the police would come find you?
Huh?
Like the police would come and they tell you to go back?
They would call me probably and inform me that I broke the rules, and they find me like a couple 100,000 like NTDs. But yeah, I don't think I would get I don't think it's a felony, but it's a lot of money, so yeah.
Do you think there's been any like privacy concerns with the QR scanning and tracking of people? Like has there been
No, not really. I think that's a really big difference between like Taiwan and America. I think a lot of people in America are so proud. I don't know of what. They just feel like their privacy is really important, which I guess is true, but
It's actually a good point. I'll get to that later, but
yeah, a lot of people in Taiwan are basically everyone in Taiwan is overwhelmingly like supportive of the government and whatever it needs to do. So the government, like they have the CDCC has like news and like a news channel. It'll report every morning in Taiwan. They'll send out stuff online, so everyone in Taiwan gets the new daily updates of what's going on right now. And if they tell us to do something, like I don't know, like wash your hands, like do this way, or do this thing, then people will do it, which is kind of crazy, because yeah, people are just very obedient, like scarily obedient. So yeah.
I heard that.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. You can go first.
So are schools still in session and people still going to work? Stuff like
Yeah, nothing has changed. It's just a lot of people wearing masks right now.
that.
But like all the shops, hair salons, schools, whatever, are still like they're still in session. So yeah.
Yeah, to go back to what Brian was saying about like the tracking app, I heard that Google and Apple, I believe, are also coming up with like an app for us to get to. I'm not sure if they're going to track us the same way. They haven't released that much information, but I feel like once they do come out with that app, I think it's supposed to help us like track who's been transmitting and who's been like meeting with a lot people that has contracted coronavirus. So I feel like hopefully that's going towards like the similar route that Taiwan already has with that app that you mentioned.
I read a little bit about that app. I'm so sorry. Is someone talking? Okay, sorry. Yeah, I read about that app, and they said it's like a voluntary thing. So you're voluntarily submitting information. So let's say you do get the virus, you decide if you want to like submit that information or not, and downloading that app is also voluntary. So I think that's like the biggest difference between the Taiwan QR and then this app. It's like it's still not really very accurate.
That's true.
I feel like there'd be a lot of privacy concerns in America specifically with these apps, just like how Brian said. Like we're kind of a little bit anal about how our information's being like shared with everyone. But like in comparison to Taiwanese government is a lot more transparent with like the way they're dealing with information as opposed to Americans, which is why like if we had that sort of app here in America, it would be so much more different than it is in Taiwan right now.
Definitely, but I also feel like this is kind of like the reason why we have so many cases and so many deaths compared to other countries who are, I guess you can say, like more centralized, and like the government isn't something you can change now, but because they have such a different government and people are more, I guess, willing to share such information is the reason why we seriously can't control this.
Right.
I heard actually that in the beginning of like their quarantine and then laying out their policies, Taiwan also took control of like face mask manufacturing. So then they could like increase the production and then also distribute it to the public. Yeah.
Um, I also didn't like how I presented this while I was on Zoom, so I'm re-recording this too. So, welcome back to Charles's private session. So what can the US learn from Taiwan's response? I think the number one thing is experience from a previous SARS outbreak led to the rapid proactive response action that we talked about before. So it's important that the US takes this experience and not only recovers from it, but put the necessary implementations in our healthcare systems in place to make sure that we respond a lot better next time. And the second thing is Taiwan's national health insurance is one of the most effective, one of the best national healthcare systems in the world, and it was crucial in helping Taiwan fight the virus response because it allowed citizens to go to the hospital and get tested, treatments without the fear of not being able to afford it. Obviously a very different story in the United States, but that's a whole another discussion topic. The last thing is trusting government goes in a long way to making a public effort. This is because to kill the virus at its root, the government needs to keep track of every single case, and not only that, every single person that the case was exposed to. I think it's a lot of people would argue that it's an invasion of privacy, but it's for the most effective response. That's what it takes. So I think we can all say that the U.S. government isn't very trusted. A lot of people wouldn't necessarily listen to what the government wants to say, and I think it contributed to our ineffective response to the coronavirus. And yeah, now we'll jump back to the discussion where I finally figure out how to turn on everybody's camera so you actually see everybody now. So
What do you guys think about the stimulus check?
Not good enough, honestly.
It's not
good enough.
Giving
It's
you
really
1K. Like,
That's
what?
like the amount of some people's rent, like maybe even less.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Pretty high.
It's like, here's some money, go deal with it.
Yeah.
For until who knows when. It's just not right, man. Wait, do you guys have something similar to the stimulus check in Taiwan, or no?
You get it after you get quarantined for 14 days, and then you can go and get your money. I think it's like, let me calculate it. How much is it?
Let me
Let me Google it right now. Actually, 'cause I don't even know. I haven't got my thing yet.
So I'm sure it's the same case for all of you, but I didn't qualify for the stimulus check because like I belong as like a dependency
Oh yeah.
of my parents.
Or, like most
Yeah.
of us, or, like,
Yeah, most college students don't get them.
It's so clear.
Wait, Brian, for Taiwan, does everyone get it, or is it like the same case here where it's only if you?
I think you have to be 18.
Oh, just 18.
Hmm.
Wow.
Then you get it. But I don't think it's like too crazy. Yeah, I'm actually not exactly sure, so I don't want to say something like that's wrong. But it's not too crazy. So yeah, we're not getting like super rich over here.
Wait,
But it still helps a lot, and people appreciate it.
Did Taiwan have a lockdown at all, or was it just for the people that came in?
Lockdown. Yeah, locked. So you have to be Taiwanese to come in.
Oh.
And this started March 28, 27. So yeah.
Yeah, but people inside of Taiwan are still like out and about, buying stuff, spending money, right?
Mhm.
Oh. Are night markets still like popping? Are people still like?
Night market?
Night markets, they're not popping anymore. I mean, you can still go out, but people kind of just like listen to the government, so they kind of just stay indoors, even though there's no real risk. But the amount of people on the streets and like night markets and stuff like that definitely decreased a lot.
So there's still like social distancing stuff, just not
Yeah.
like quarantine. Cool. Okay, so hold on. Next thing, So Taiwan's, I think, got it on lock basically, and they know this. And we know this because Taiwan's getting less than 5 cases, pretty much getting 0 nowadays. So they're turning this effort into a global effort. So I just want to show these pictures because I found this on the website and I thought it was cool. They put in lights, Taiwan can help. And wait, what is that? Brian, can you tell me what that says in the second picture?
The second one?
Yeah.
防疫不分你我. It just means like, just like there's no, let's just all work together, basically.
Nice.
Like everyone gets cared. I don't know, gets cared. Yeah, that's kind of how you translate it, I guess.
Very nice. And the right ones,
And
I know
this
this
is
one.
on Taipei 101, right?
And the last one just says Taiwan Jayo, just let's go Taiwan.
Yeah. And more specifically, we know that, well, we don't know the details of how this is going to pan out, but basically, Taiwan's president, Tsai Ing-wen, shared 3 things they're going to do to help the world. First, by donating their abundance of face masks to countries in need. I think pretty much every country's in need. Second thing is increasing production of, I don't actually know what that is. I probably should have done my research, I'm not gonna lie. Probably some kind of thing that helps the coronavirus. Third thing is sharing their technology of tracing and investigating outbreaks. Wait, does anybody know what that is?
I'm
I think
looking
it
it
might be
up.
the drug.
Yeah.
Cyanide. Michael, what is it?
Anti-parasite to treat malaria.
Yeah, it's the
Ah,
hydroxy, whatever the full name. It's the drug that they've been giving like patients with severe symptoms, and it's been working like pretty well.
Oh,
Retweet.
Me too.
Reblog.
Now I remember. I think some news reporter was asking the Dr. Anthony Fauci about it, but he was like, it's very experimental. We don't know if it actually works or anything. But hey.
But there's another company that Gilead, I think I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but they just released their phase 3 of the trial where they gave their trial vaccine to 130 patients with severe symptoms, and about 120 of them they got discharged in a few days, and only 2 died. So that's the new drug in the market.
oh.
Yeah, it just came out yesterday.
Was this in the US?
Yeah, and I believe so.
Oh.
It's GILEAD.
Phase 3 already. Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. And the third thing is they're going to share their technology to trace and investigate outbreaks. And the only thing I know of so far is the thing I mentioned before, where they have infrared scanners at airports to track feverish symptoms and stuff like that. Which, I mean, I feel like every airport nowadays should have that now, right?
It would make sense too.
Oh, right, yeah.
But it sounds so foreign. It sounds so high tech for the US.
21st
I
century.
mean, I remember when I was little, we had that shit when I was oh wait, can I say shit?
Wait,
You know,
I thought we did
it's fine.
cursing.
Yeah, we had the fucking, what's it called? The infrared scanners 10 years ago.
I started over. I'm
I just
cutting
thought
that out.
I just thought it was commonplace. But I don't know. That's another thing. The global efforts thing. On the last slide you showed how they showed on Taipei 101 how Taiwan was going to try and help the world. It's crazy because I predicted that people in Taiwan would get bitter when the Taiwanese government announced that they would help the world, because if you look at what's happening the past 50 years, nobody really gives a fuck about Taiwan. All the countries denounce them or deny their existence or their independence because of China.
What a great transition into my next slide, which surrounds the controversy around the World Health Organization and China. And before I continue, I want to give the disclaimer that we are discussing this as Stony Brook's Taiwanese Student Association, so there's going to be some inherent bias to the way we present the information and talk about it. Just know that I try to be as unbiased as possible and use multiple sources. But yeah, let's talk about it. So Taiwan was one of the earliest countries to be exposed to the coronavirus. And actually, in addition to the warning that China sent to the World Health Organization, Taiwan actually sent an email themselves warning of the cases of pneumonia that had sprung up in Wuhan. But the thing is, China has pressured the World Health Organization to not recognize Taiwan as a sovereign state, and so consequently, health officials from Taiwan were ignored and cut off from global information networks. And the World Health Organization has repeatedly backed up China's actions and response to controlling coronavirus, and pretty much gone with not recognizing Taiwan or any of their warnings or providing them information and such. And COVID-19 was not declared a pandemic until March 11th, even though Taiwan had been giving warnings and doing their own actions to control the virus. And first clip we're going to show is a Hong Kong reporter questioning a World Health Organization official about Taiwan's membership status in the World Health Organization, and this was his response.
Consider Taiwan's membership.
Professional things.
Hello?
Yeah.
I can't hear. I couldn't hear your question.
Okay, yeah. Let me repeat the question.
No, that's okay. Let's move to another one then.
Right, because I'm actually curious on talking about Taiwan as well, on Taiwan's case.
Wow.
We decided to give Dr. Auer another call to follow up.
And I just want to see if you can comment a bit on how Taiwan has done so far in terms of containing the virus.
Well, we've already talked about China, and when you look across all the different areas of China, they've actually all done quite a good job. So with that, I'd like to thank you very much for inviting us to participate, and good luck as you go forward with the battle in Hong Kong.
Yikes.
So funny.
That guy is literally me when my professor calls on me to do my presentation. I'm like,
Pretends like there's no connection.
Wow.
What just happened? That was not clean. That was not clean.
yeah, no.
So funny.
That
Laughed
was
so hard when I saw
key.
that.
He was like, yo, I didn't hear that question. Can you repeat it?
And then he hung up.
Oh my god.
That became a meme, right? Like a meme format?
Yeah. Wait, it's not only like bad that he hung up, it's just like he kept referencing it back to China.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We also have a clip here of the World Health Organization Director General Tedros, who came out of nowhere with a accusation regarding racial slurs and attacks coming from Taiwan for him, and that the Foreign Ministry of Taiwan was defending it. And this was his press statement.
I don't care. Why would I care about being attacked when people are dying? And if you want me to be specific, 3 months ago, this attack came from Taiwan. We need to be honest. I will be straight today. And Taiwan, the foreign ministry also, they know the campaign. They didn't dissociate themselves. They even started criticizing me in the middle of all that insult and slur. 3 months. I say it today because it's enough. We're losing lives every minute. My focus is saving lives.
A lot of people got mad about that. It's crazy. Like, overnight, you just like go to like every single news channel is playing his face and his recording on that. This collective hatred against him. A lot of people made like a lot of YouTubers in Taiwan There's a lot of them. They just made like yeah.
In response, the Foreign Ministry Director of Taiwan released this statement demanding an apology from the World Health Organization director.
Taiwan is demanding an apology from the World Health Organization chief for accusing the island of leading personal attacks against him.
谭赛德干事长他未经查证，无端的对台湾进行不实的指控，不仅与事实不符，也对我国的政府跟人民造成严重的伤害，类此污蔑的行为极不负责。我国政府严正的要求谭赛德干事长应该要立刻更正他毫无根据的指控，立即澄清，并且向我国道歉。
As she should.
Oh, I heard. So because this is like a very like China and who versus like Taiwan thing, actually Donald Trump is supporting Taiwan, like the claims that Taiwan is making, and then like saying that they want like Tedros Adhanom to step down as Director General, right? So he's been tweeting like a lot, like about how like who should like change their Director General, and then actually just today I believe several Republican representatives said that they think that U.S. should cut their funding towards who. Yeah, so they're trying to say, oh, if you don't like make him step down, then we're gonna stop funding. And then also, but on the other side, like, because this is a very like, I don't know, touchy issue, because at the same time, if you cut funding during this time, this is when who needs the funding, right? Like, so I was wondering like what you guys think about that, like on the whole issue.
I feel like it's not fair to cut funding on who, especially since like they are kind of like the leaders of the pandemic. It's kind of like forcing every other country to pay the price of us cutting back like our part, you know what I mean? But at the same time, it definitely is their fault, and I feel like they should admit to not recognizing this as a pandemic earlier, especially since Taiwan like notified them back in like December. So that's definitely like wrong on their part, but I don't think they should get like funding cuts. That's just wrong.
Yeah, like the politics of this just,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Come on, let's just get the shit together, guys. Like, what?
Yeah, I'm not sure what cutting funding would achieve in terms of, if we look at the bigger picture and like, you know, if we come across this kind of pandemic again, how would that help in solving the effort? But the case could also be made from the fact that World Health Organization didn't even do anything in the beginning. So what are like what's this funding they're gonna do for them anyway? What harm is there cutting the funding? It could be used as like a gesture of get your shit together, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some people in Taiwan are saying like, you know, like they wanted to join the WHO, but now that with everything that's happening, they're like, you know what, it's fine. You don't need to take us in.
Yeah, so Taiwan back in early April, they advised their government agencies, like for example schools, to not use Zoom over security concerns. They were afraid that people would join random meetings and this would lead to data loss and like just misinformation. And this is a quote from the New York Times: encrypts user data, the potential theft of user data, leaked email address, and encryption keys being routed through China. So I feel like this is also kind of like target towards China, since their calls are being rerouted to China. I feel like they probably don't like that, and that's also one of the big concerns with security that they have over Zoom. And Zoom bombing, that's the term they refer to as like when people just crash into random meetings that they weren't invited to or they didn't have the links to. And I think they're really worried that this can lead to a lot of just like data loss and with companies and important people. And instead, they're advising the Taiwanese people to use domestic conferencing apps instead, or even Microsoft or Google instead of Zoom. and Elon Musk, who was the CEO of SpaceX, who creates like space shuttles and rockets for space exploration, as well as the New York City DOE, also banned Zoom over privacy concerns. And I know we're using Zoom since we're not under the DOE system anymore. How do you guys feel about like Zoom and the security concerns, especially since like this is kind of like the main platform that we use to communicate with classes and people now?
I just feel like we could have had a different platform, so I'm just a little confused as to why Zoom was pretty much like the platform that was suggested right away.
Right. Yeah, I also don't know. It's like, why not Google Hangout or like Skype? That's been around longer than Zoom. Like even before like schools decided to become online, we already heard rumors that we're moving on to like the online platform Zoom. Like where did that really come from?
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't heard about Zoom until this all started.
Yeah.
But then suddenly, like colleges all over US are using
Yeah.
Zoom. It's like not just Stony Brook.
Now, so I didn't even think that there were like privacy concerns about it until you brought it up like earlier this week. But Elon Musk is like thinking that it's kind of dangerous for privacy. I feel like we should be concerned as well, or like the NYC.
Yeah.
Wait, so what exactly are the DOE using then for like the public school students?
I think they're trying to advise the teachers to use like Google Hangouts instead, but I feel like that's really up to the teachers to decide. They advise them to not use it, but like again, like the ban isn't officially like hard driven. I feel like it's up to the teachers, because I feel like since we're still using Zoom, it hasn't really gone like nationwide, if anything. And I feel like since we're students, there isn't much of a security concern compared to like if you were a big corporation or like Elon Musk.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like Zoom's pretty nice, you know? Like Google Hangouts is trash, Skype is trash. There's always so many like connectivity issues and like oh, I can't hear you, like can you hear me and stuff like that. You know, Zoom's
I am
easy.
not gonna lie though, their screen share, like Zoom screen share is pretty nice.
It's good. It's so good. Yeah.
It is pretty nice. Yeah. So there are some pros and there are some cons. But like the other day, I was just saying like the other day, like I had my microphone muted and then I was like talking, and then on my screen it goes, "You're muted right now. If you would like to unmute and continue speaking, you can do that by pressing this." And I'm like, how would you know that I'm muted? Why would you put that right when I'm talking, you know? So
they listening.
And then right after you're like, oh, okay, thank you. I was actually talking.
Have you guys, okay, sorry, this is like not relevant, but like if you have like an Apple, like an iPhone, right? And you use like the live function and you go back and you press on it. So it's like but like how do I phrase this? It's just like they record the part before you press the button. So it means they were recording the whole time?
That's what I was thinking about.
That's not sus.
I think that is the deal with the live function, where they are literally recording you while you are on the camera app. Because I don't know if you noticed this, but if you're playing music, like on Spotify or whatever, the moment you click onto the camera app, it stops the music in Spotify, which means that it's recording already the moment that you open the camera app.
Wait, does it also stop when you open Snapchat?
Oh wait.
No, you can continuously play music on Snapchat. Yeah.
Interesting.
Damn. What? It's getting so started.
Scary.
Sus activity.
A lot of people suggested that colleges should use Discord.
Discord?
Which I know Anna loves
Discord
a
is
lot.
pretty good.
Discord's pretty nice.
I love Discord too.
Yeah.
And they have like the noise cancellation that I really like. Yeah, pretty nice.
Wait, then if Taiwan's banning Zoom, what are you guys using right now? Do you know what you guys are using?
I think
right now?
it's just like government agencies, but I don't think they enforced it onto like regular citizens, but like for government agencies that probably deal with like sensitive information or like corporations, I think they want them to steer away from using Zoom because of the security concerns.
Yep.
I'm gonna stop. We can talk after, but I'm gonna stop because it's going on way too long.
I can't edit all of this.
Hold on, I have a slide.
Oh, he has a slide. Oh.
Thank you for. Okay, you know what? Fuck the slides. It's ugly.
Is this?
Should make it
Are we
orange.
gonna do like a Brady Bunch thing where we're like, and then we like look at each other?
Oh. Wait, we should.
It's me again, Charles, in our little private session. The way I did the outro in Zoom was super fucked up. But if you made it this far, you're the best. But yeah, thanks for watching. We may or may not do more of these. It was definitely fun to do. It just depends on if we have more stuff to talk about. So see you guys next time. I'm just gonna use this last clip of us waving goodbye in slow motion. Yeah, there it is. Look at us, so cute. All right, goodbye.